Welcome back to SkyAlert USA, your trusted source for comprehensive weather coverage across the United States and Canada. I'm bringing you a critical weather update for Monday, January 19th, 2026, and the forecast for the next 3 days. Today's report focuses on a significant weather pattern that's bringing Arctic conditions, heavy lake effect snow, and dangerous cold temperatures to much of North America. Today's major weather events, January 19th, 2026. Arctic blast grips the nation. A major polar vortex disruption is currently underway, unleashing some of the coldest air of the winter season across the United States and Canada. This phenomenon occurs when the stratospheric polar vortex weakens, allowing frigid Arctic air to spill southward from the polar regions into the mid-latitudes. What makes this event particularly significant is its persistence. Meteorologists are tracking sustained cold conditions that will last through at least the end of January. Current observations show temperatures running 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit below historical averages across most of the continental United States. But don't let those numbers fool you. The real story is the wind chill. Arctic air masses are combining with brisk winds to create dangerously low wind chill values, especially across the northern tier states. In southeastern Canada, residents are experiencing temperatures plummeting to -25 to -30 degrees Fahrenheit, with wind chill values making it feel even more brutal. Great Lakes region. Heavy lake effect snow ongoing. The Great Lakes region is experiencing one of its most active lake effect snow events of the season. A deep, low-pressure system anchored over Hudson Bay is maintaining cyclonic flow across all 5 Great Lakes, generating multiple bands of heavy snow. What makes this particularly impressive is that the Great Lakes are currently only 14% ice-covered, meaning there's plenty of open water to fuel these snow bands. Western New York is bearing the brunt of this system. Areas downwind of Lake Ontario, including Oswego and Watertown, have already received significant snowfall and are forecast to see an additional 12 to 24 inches through Thursday. The National Weather Service has issued winter storm warnings for these areas, with accumulations potentially reaching 1 to 3 feet by the end of the week. The combination of heavy snow and strong winds is creating whiteout conditions at times, making travel extremely hazardous. Similar conditions are affecting western Michigan, particularly the Upper Peninsula and areas around Lake Superior and Lake Michigan. Multi-banded snow is producing rapid accumulations, with probabilities exceeding 70% for at least 6 inches of additional snow through Tuesday morning. Communities around the Great Lakes need to prepare for significant travel disruptions and should avoid unnecessary travel during the heaviest snow bands. National temperature overview. Coast to coast, the cold air mass is making its presence felt. In Ottawa, Canada, temperatures are hovering around -9 degrees Celsius this morning, with wind chills making it feel like -14. The forecast calls for flurries continuing throughout the day, with a high of only -6 degrees Celsius. Toronto is experiencing similar conditions, with heavy snowfall expected. Actually, the city is forecast to see 19 snowy days this month, with significant accumulations already on the ground. Moving into the United States, the northern plains and upper Midwest are seeing bitterly cold conditions. Wind chill values are approaching -40 to -50 in northeastern Manitoba, including areas like Churchill, Brochet and Lynn Lake. Environment Canada has issued cold weather warnings for these regions, cautioning that frostbite can develop within minutes on exposed skin. The cold isn't confined to the northern states. Even the southeast is feeling the chill, with temperatures in the Florida Panhandle and southern Georgia dropping below normal for this time of year. The widespread nature of this cold outbreak is a testament to the strength of the polar vortex disruption currently in progress. All right, let's get into the regional breakdown. Starting in the northeastern New England, the region is experiencing a mix of lake-effect snow and periodic clipper systems. A snow squall moved through earlier this week, bringing heavy snow and gusty winds that reduced visibility to a quarter-mile in some areas. Coastal New England from Cape Cod to Bangor, Maine, continues to see snow, with an additional 3 to 9 inches possible in southern Maine through this afternoon. Cities like Buffalo and Rochester have already received 6 inches of snow, while Pittsburgh saw 4 inches and Cleveland up to 2 inches. Moving to the mid-Atlantic, the I-95 corridor experienced a quick-moving snow squall earlier in the week. Current conditions are cold but relatively quiet, with temperatures running several degrees below normal. Washington, D.C., Philadelphia and New York City are all experiencing highs in the 20s and 30s Fahrenheit, with overnight lows dipping into the teens. In the Midwest and Ohio Valley, beyond the Great Lakes snow machine, the broader Midwest is dealing with persistent cold and occasional snow showers. Chicago experienced some excitement earlier this month with rare January flash flooding and strong winds, but current conditions have returned to more typical winter weather with cold temperatures and occasional snow. The region is forecast to see continued cold conditions, with temperatures remaining well below freezing for the foreseeable future. Now for the southern plains and Gulf Coast. Even these typically milder regions are feeling the effects of the Arctic outbreak. Texas and Oklahoma experienced a cold, rainy stretch earlier in the month, and while conditions have moderated slightly, temperatures remain cooler than average. The Deep South, including Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana, is seeing sunny but cold conditions, with the potential for snow showers in northern areas later this week. Out west, the weather story here is dramatically different. A series of atmospheric river events brought heavy rain and mountain snow to California and the Pacific Northwest earlier this month. The Sierra Nevada received feet of snow, with some locations seeing up to 5 feet above 6,000 feet elevation. Winter storm warnings were in effect for multiple days, with snow levels dropping from 7,500 feet down to around 4,500 feet. The combination of heavy snow and strong winds, with gusts exceeding 100 miles per hour on ridgetops, created extremely dangerous conditions. Northern California and the Central Valley experienced significant rainfall, with some areas receiving over 2 inches in a short period. This led to flash flooding concerns, particularly in urban areas and near rivers and streams. The atmospheric river also brought thunderstorms capable of producing gusty winds, small hail, and even brief tornadoes. Southern California, including Los Angeles and San Diego, also saw substantial rainfall, with more than 2 inches falling in some locations, enough to cause street flooding and create hazardous driving conditions. The Pacific Northwest, including Washington and Oregon, received widespread precipitation with heavy mountain snow. The Cascades and Olympic Mountains saw snowfall totals of 30 to 120 centimeters, that's 12 to 48 inches, with locally higher amounts above 1,500 meters. Multiple winter storm warnings were issued as 2 frontal systems moved through the region in quick succession. Let's take a look at the 3-day forecast for January 20th through the 22nd, 2026. Tuesday, January 20th. The Arctic pattern shows no signs of breaking. The deep low over Hudson Bay continues to drive the lake effect snow machine across the Great Lakes. Western New York will see continued heavy snow, with additional accumulations of several inches likely. Areas around Lake Ontario should prepare for persistent snow bands that could dump significant amounts in relatively short periods. Across the northern United States and southern Canada, temperatures will remain well below normal. A direct cold air corridor extends from southern and eastern Canada into the northern and eastern United States, covering much of the Midwest. High temperatures across the upper Midwest will struggle to reach the teens, with wind chills remaining dangerously low. The northern plains will see similar conditions, with some areas not climbing above 0 degrees Fahrenheit all day. The northeast will experience a mix of sun and cloud, with occasional flurries, particularly in areas prone to lake effect snow. The mid-Atlantic will see mostly sunny skies, but with continued cold temperatures. Highs will range from the mid-20s to low 30s, with overnight lows dropping into the teens. In the south, conditions will remain cooler than normal, but generally dry. The Gulf Coast states will see sunny skies with highs in the 40s and 50s, which may sound mild, but represents below-average temperatures for late January. The southwest will be relatively quiet after the recent atmospheric river events, with dry conditions and moderating temperatures. Wednesday, January 21st, the weather pattern begins to show some evolution on Wednesday, but the cold remains entrenched across much of the nation. A clipper system may enhance snow across the Great Lakes region, spreading lighter snow into the northeast by Thursday. This system won't be a major snowmaker for most areas, but it will bring another round of accumulating snow to parts of the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic. Lake effect snow continues across western New York and Michigan, though intensities may vary as wind directions shift slightly. The persistent nature of this snow event is creating significant accumulation totals. By Wednesday evening, some locations downwind of Lake Ontario could be approaching 2 to 3 feet of total snowfall since the event began. A 60% chance of snow develops across parts of Ontario, including areas around Ottawa. This system may bring moderate snowfall to southern Ontario and Quebec, with several inches possible. The snow, combined with the ongoing cold, will maintain difficult travel conditions across much of central and eastern Canada. In the northern United States, high temperatures will remain stubbornly cold. The upper Midwest will see highs in the single digits to low teens, with overnight lows well below 0 in many locations. The northern plains face similar conditions, with frigid air showing little sign of modification. Gulf moisture begins to reach southern Texas and the lower Mississippi Valley on Wednesday, pooling along a frontal boundary. This sets the stage for moderate to possibly heavy rain in these areas. The Weather Prediction Center has introduced a marginal risk of excessive rainfall for portions of southeast Texas and southwestern Louisiana, where recent weather model guidance suggests rainfall totals could approach 2 to 3 inches. Thursday, January 22nd. Thursday represents a continuation of the pattern, though some subtle changes begin to emerge. The clipper system that affects the Great Lakes on Wednesday spreads light to moderate snow into parts of the northeast. While not a major storm system, it will bring accumulating snow to areas from Pennsylvania and New York into southern New England. Snowfall amounts of 1 to 3 inches are most likely, though locally higher amounts are possible in favoured lake enhancement zones. The Great Lakes snow machine remains active, particularly around Lake Ontario. Western New York continues to see snow bands, with additional accumulations building on what is already a substantial snowpack. The combination of fresh snow and strong winds may create blowing and drifting snow, further complicating travel conditions. Across the northern tier of states, the persistent upper-level troughing keeps frigid temperatures locked in place. This pattern is forecast to continue through the weekend and potentially into early the following week. High temperatures across the northern plains and upper Midwest will remain well below normal, with many areas seeing daytime highs that don't exceed the teens even during peak heating hours. Overnight lows will be brutal, with sub-zero readings common and wind chills potentially approaching life-threatening levels in some locations. The frontal system across the south becomes more active on Thursday, bringing increased rain chances from eastern Texas through the lower Mississippi Valley and into the Tennessee Valley. Rainfall will be moderate in most areas, but some locations could see heavier totals. The Weather Prediction Center is monitoring the situation for potential flash flooding, particularly in areas that receive multiple rounds of heavy rain. The cold begins to moderate slightly across the mid-Atlantic and southeast, though temperatures will still run below normal. Highs will climb into the 30s and 40s across much of the region, which will feel relatively mild compared to the bitter cold farther north. Out west, conditions remain relatively quiet following the active start to January. The Sierra Nevada and Cascades are dealing with tremendous snowpack from recent storms, with some mountain locations sitting at or above normal snow water equivalent for this time of year. Dry weather is forecast for much of the west, allowing for some recovery from the recent heavy precipitation events. Severe weather alerts and warnings are currently in effect. Winter storm warnings remain in place for portions of western New York, especially in areas downwind of Lake Ontario. These warnings highlight the potential for heavy snow accumulations of 12 to 24 inches, along with strong winds gusting to 30 to 40 miles per hour. The combination of heavy snow and wind is creating blizzard-like conditions at times, with whiteout visibility and dangerous wind chills. Cold weather warnings are in effect across much of central and northern Canada, including northeastern Manitoba. Wind chill values of -45 to -50 degrees Fahrenheit are expected, creating a serious risk of frostbite on exposed skin within minutes. Residents in these areas should limit time outdoors and make sure to wear proper winter clothing if travel is absolutely necessary. Lake effect snow warnings continue for areas around the Great Lakes, including portions of Michigan's Upper Peninsula and areas downwind of Lakes Superior, Michigan and Erie. These warnings emphasize the potential for rapid accumulations in narrow snow bands, with snowfall rates possibly exceeding 1 to 2 inches per hour during the most intense periods. Looking back at warnings from earlier in January, the western United States experienced significant winter weather. California saw multiple winter storm warnings, with the Sierra Nevada receiving up to 5 feet of snow above 6,000 feet. The eastern Sierra slopes got 4 to 24 inches, depending on elevation, while Siskiyou County saw 6 to 18 inches and up to 36 inches on the highest peaks. Wind gusts reached 45 to 60 miles per hour, with ridgetop gusts even exceeding 100 miles per hour in some locations. The Pacific Northwest dealt with substantial snowfall as well. The Cascades and Olympic Mountains were under winter storm warnings as snowfall totals reached 30 to 120 centimeters. These warnings stressed difficult travel conditions and the potential for power outages due to heavy wet snow on trees and power lines. Flood watches were also issued for parts of Northern California, where heavy rain threatened to cause flash flooding in urban areas and near rivers and streams. Southern California saw similar concerns, with flood watches covering areas that ultimately received over 2 inches of rain, leading to street flooding and stranded vehicles. Hazardous conditions and safety information are really important right now. Travel conditions across much of the northern United States and Canada are hazardous and will remain so for the next several days. The combination of heavy snow, strong winds, and dangerously cold temperatures creates a dangerous situation for anyone who must venture out. In the Great Lakes region, lake-effect snow is producing rapidly changing conditions. Weather can vary dramatically over short distances. You might be driving in clear conditions 1 minute and find yourself in a blinding snowband with near-zero visibility the next. Road conditions are deteriorating quickly in these snowbands, with snow-covered and ice-covered roads being pretty common. If you must travel through these areas, reduce your speed significantly, increase following distances, and be prepared for sudden changes in visibility and road conditions. The National Weather Service is strongly advising people to delay all travel in winter storm warning areas if possible. If you absolutely must travel, carry an emergency kit in your vehicle, including blankets, food, water, a flashlight, a first aid kit, and a fully charged cell phone. Make sure someone knows your route and expected arrival time. Be prepared for the possibility of becoming stranded, and never leave your vehicle if you get stuck in a storm. Across the northern plains and upper Midwest, extreme cold is creating dangerous conditions even for short trips. Ensure your vehicle is properly winterized, with good antifreeze levels and a fully charged battery. Cold temperatures can cause batteries to fail and reduce fuel efficiency, so plan accordingly. Dress in layers and have extra winter clothing in your vehicle in case of breakdown. The extreme cold affecting much of the northern United States and Canada poses serious health risks. Frostbite can develop on exposed skin in as little as 5 to 10 minutes when wind chills approach -40 to -50 degrees Fahrenheit. Symptoms of frostbite include numbness, white or greyish-yellow skin, and skin that feels unusually firm or waxy. If you suspect frostbite, get into a warm environment immediately and seek medical attention. Hypothermia is another serious concern in these conditions. Warning signs include shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, and slurred speech. In severe cases, hypothermia can be life-threatening. If you must be outside, dress in layers with moisture-wicking base layers, insulating middle layers, and a windproof outer layer. Don't forget a warm hat, gloves, and insulated boots. For those clearing snow, remember that snow shoveling is strenuous activity. Take frequent breaks, stay hydrated, and don't overexert yourself. If you have heart problems or are out of shape, consider hiring someone to clear your driveway and sidewalks, as snow shoveling can trigger heart attacks in susceptible individuals. The combination of heavy snow and strong winds can lead to power outages, particularly in areas receiving heavy, wet snow that can weigh down power lines and tree branches. Have a plan for staying warm if the power goes out. Never use a gas stove or oven for heating, as this creates a carbon monoxide hazard. If using a generator, keep it outside and away from windows and doors to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Ensure your home heating system is working properly before the coldest weather arrives. If you use a fireplace or wood stove, have it inspected and cleaned regularly. Keep fire extinguishers accessible and working smoke and carbon monoxide detectors on every level of your home. Looking at the long-range outlook, looking beyond the 3-day forecast, the pattern shows little change through at least the end of January. The stratospheric polar vortex disruption that's driving this cold outbreak is forecast to persist and potentially strengthen in the final week of January. This means continued cold conditions for much of the northern United States and Canada, with the potential for additional winter storm systems. Extended-range forecast models suggest that February may continue the cold trend across parts of the northern United States and southern Canada. The Canadian long-range model shows continued cold air support over western Canada and the northern and central United States into February. While these long-range forecasts have some inherent uncertainty, the overall pattern suggests that winter is far from over across North America. For the Great Lakes region, lake-effect snow will remain a threat as long as cold air flows over the relatively warm, ice-free lake waters. With the Great Lakes only 14% ice-covered right now, there's plenty of open water to fuel additional snow events. Residents of snowbelt areas should prepare for continued active weather through the remainder of January and into February. The West Coast may see additional atmospheric river events as the jet stream remains active across the Pacific. While these systems can be beneficial for drought conditions and mountain snowpack, they can also bring flooding rains and travel disruptions. Stay tuned to local forecasts for the latest information on approaching systems. To wrap things up, this has been your comprehensive weather update for Monday, January 19th, 2026, from SkyAlert USA. We're tracking a significant and prolonged Arctic outbreak affecting much of the United States and Canada, with heavy lake-effect snow pounding the Great Lakes region and dangerous cold temperatures gripping the northern tier states. The pattern shows little change over the next 3 days, with continued cold and snow likely through at least the end of January. Remember, if you're in an area under winter storm warnings or cold weather warnings, take these alerts seriously. Limit outdoor exposure, dress appropriately if you must go outside, and avoid unnecessary travel. Check on elderly neighbors and anyone who might need assistance during this extreme weather. Stay informed by monitoring local forecasts and weather alerts, and be prepared for rapidly changing conditions, especially in lake-effect snow areas. For the most up-to-date weather information, continue to follow SkyAlert USA. We'll keep you informed of any significant changes to the forecast or new weather alerts as they're issued. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you in the next update.